The box was impossible to ignore. Sleek. Elegant. Finished in deep black with silver lettering across the lid and the unmistakable Mercedes-Benz star shining at its center. Just minutes earlier, Alex Eala had delivered one of the most commanding performances of her grass court season. On center court in Berlin, the young Filipina star had dismantled Donna Vekic 6-2, 6-2, controlling the match from the opening game and leaving little doubt about who was the better player on the day. The crowd loved it. The commentators praised it. Even the VIP suites were buzzing. But nobody expected what happened next. As Eala began walking off the court, still smiling and acknowledging the fans who had cheered her throughout the match, movement suddenly caught everyone's attention. A man in a tailored suit stepped down from the VIP section. Security immediately cleared a path. Television cameras swiveled toward the scene. Photographers rushed into position. And within seconds, curiosity spread across the entire stadium. Who was he? Why was he approaching Alex Eala? And what was inside the box? Then came the reveal. The man was introduced as a senior executive from Mercedes-Benz. What followed wasn't a routine congratulations. It wasn't a quick handshake. And it certainly wasn't something anyone had anticipated. As the executive began speaking, Eala's smile slowly faded into visible surprise. Fans in the stands leaned forward. Commentators fell silent. Social media exploded with speculation. Because whatever was happening, it clearly wasn't part of the original schedule. And for a brief moment, the entire tennis world seemed to stop and watch. Berlin, Germany. June 15, 2026. At the historic Rot-Weiss Tennis Club, a remarkable chapter in Alex Eala's journey was unfolding. The victory itself had already been impressive. The final point felt like a statement. Eala stepped to the line and unleashed a left-handed serve that rocketed down the tee. The ball landed perfectly. Untouchable. Donna Vekic could only watch. Match over. 6-2, 6-2. The scoreboard confirmed what everyone had witnessed. A dominant performance from start to finish. Philippine flags immediately appeared throughout the stadium. Cheers echoed across Steffi Graf Stadium. Fans rose to their feet. And Alex Eala soaked in the moment. For the 21-year-old from Quezon City, it was another significant milestone in a season filled with breakthrough performances. More importantly, it continued a remarkable run of success against Vekic. With the win, Eala strengthened her growing reputation as one of the most dangerous young players on tour and further reinforced the belief that her game is translating beautifully to grass. Her movement looked sharper. Her shot selection looked smarter. And her confidence looked stronger than ever. But as impressive as the tennis had been, it was what happened after the match that would dominate headlines. Because standing just a few feet away was a representative from one of the most recognizable luxury brands in the world. And in his hands was a mysterious black box that seemed to capture everyone's attention. Nobody knew exactly what was coming next. Not the crowd. Not the media. And judging by her reaction, not even Alex Eala herself. What happened in the next few moments would quickly become one of the most talked about stories of the entire Berlin Open. However, the performance had already delivered a message that echoed far beyond center court. To the rest of the Berlin Open field. To the WTA Tour. And to the tennis world at large. Alex Eala was no longer simply participating. She was competing to win. As she raised her fist toward the crowd, a soft smile breaking through her focus, she had no idea that the most unexpected moment of the day was still waiting just beyond the tunnel. Because high above the court, in the VIP section, someone important had been watching closely. And now, he was on the move. Berlin, Germany. June 15, 2026. Inside the Rot-Weiss Tennis Club Players' Tunnel, Alex Eala had just finished her on-court interview. The roar of the crowd still lingered behind her. Philippine flags continued to wave throughout the stadium. The energy of the victory had not yet faded. Racket bag over her shoulder, Eala began to mentally shift forward. Her next challenge was already waiting. World number 2, Elena Rybakina. A completely different test. A step even higher in intensity. But then, something shifted in the atmosphere. Security personnel, previously relaxed, suddenly straightened. Tournament officials near the tunnel entrance adjusted their posture. Quick glances were exchanged. Something was happening. Moments later, movement from the VIP section confirmed it. A man in a tailored navy suit, accompanied by 2 assistants, stepped out and made his way directly toward the players' tunnel. To the average spectator, his face may not have carried instant recognition. But the name behind his presence certainly carried weight. Mercedes-Benz. A brand deeply embedded in the fabric of professional tennis, with long-standing partnerships across the sport. Most recently, the German automotive giant had unveiled the innovative Mercedes-Benz signature court at the Berlin Open, a 3-sided, design-driven concept inspired by the company's iconic three-pointed star and developed in collaboration with the WTA. Even global ambassadors like Coco Gauff had featured in its launch exhibitions, reinforcing the brand's growing footprint in the game. But despite its strong connection to tennis, moments like this were rare. Mercedes-Benz executives did not typically appear in person at tournaments. And even less frequently did they walk directly into a player's tunnel after a match. Which is why this moment immediately drew attention. And why every camera in the vicinity began to shift. Alex Eala paused. Her agent stepped forward first, exchanging a few quiet words with the executive. The kind of conversation no one outside the circle could quite hear, but everyone immediately felt mattered. Then her agent turned back. His expression was controlled, but there was something in his eyes that suggested this was not routine. "He wants to meet you," he said softly. Eala looked at her coach. Then back at the executive. A brief silence followed. Sponsorship? A courtesy greeting? A post-match formality? Or something else entirely? She exhaled once. Then nodded. Okay. The executive smiled politely and gestured toward a private suite overlooking center court. And just like that, the tone of the entire moment shifted. Eala walked forward. Her team followed closely behind. Cameras immediately picked up the movement. The rising star from the Philippines. Walking alongside one of the most powerful corporate figures in global sport. Calm. Composed. But visibly curious. Within minutes, the images were everywhere. Social media exploded. Speculation spread instantly. Was this a new global ambassador deal? A historic sponsorship announcement? A once-in-a-career partnership being finalized in real time? The hashtag began trending almost immediately. #AlexMercedes. Fans debated. Analysts guessed. Media outlets refreshed every second for updates. But no one had answers. Not yet. Berlin, Germany. June 15, 2026. Inside a private suite overlooking Rotweiss Tennis Club, Alex Eala sat across from the Mercedes-Benz executive. Through the glass, the stadium slowly settled. Grounds crews prepared for the next match. Fans outside carefully folded the Philippine flags they had waved just moments earlier. The energy of the match still lingered in the air, like a fading echo. Inside the room, however, everything was still. Measured. Intentional. The executive spoke first. His tone was calm. Professional. But carried a quiet weight, the kind that comes from experience in global boardrooms and landmark decisions. "Miss Eala," he began, "I've been watching you for quite some time." He paused briefly. Not breaking eye contact. And not just today. The room felt smaller suddenly. More focused. More serious. Whatever was about to be said, it was not part of the usual post-match conversation. It was something else entirely. Not just today, and not just this week. The executive's voice remained steady. "I've followed your journey from the Rafa Nadal Academy, to your breakthrough in Miami, from your triumph in Birmingham, to what we all witnessed on center court earlier today." Alex Eala listened quietly. Her expression remained composed, calm, unreadable, focused. The executive leaned forward slightly. And continued. "You remind me of something." A brief pause. Mercedes-Benz has always stood for precision, resilience, innovation, and the relentless pursuit of excellence against the odds. He held her gaze. "That is exactly what we saw in you today. And it's what we've been seeing in your career for years." The room grew quieter. Even the distant sounds of the tournament outside the glass seemed to fade. "That's why I'm here." He reached into his jacket. Slowly. Deliberately. And placed a small velvet box on the table. Black. Elegant. Finished with subtle silver lettering and the unmistakable Mercedes-Benz star. Alex Eala's breath caught slightly as the box was opened. Inside was a key. Sleek. Modern. Instantly recognizable. A Mercedes-Benz key. "This is for you," the executive said warmly. "A small token of our admiration. A Mercedes-Benz of your choosing. Any model. Any color. Delivered anywhere in the world." Silence. Not the empty kind. The heavy kind. The kind that fills every corner of a room. Eala stared at the key. Then at the executive. Then back again. For a moment, she didn't respond. Not because she didn't understand. But because she was still processing what she had just heard. "I don't know what to say," she finally whispered. The executive smiled gently. "You don't have to say anything. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep fighting. Keep inspiring. Keep making the world watch." He paused once more. Then added, with quiet certainty, "The Mercedes-Benz family welcomes you." Outside the suite, the tournament continued as normal. But inside, something had shifted. And within minutes, without confirmation, without press release, without official statement, the internet had already begun to erupt. Hashtag Alex Mercedes was trending worldwide. And the story, as far as the world was concerned, had just changed again. What had already been one of the most talked about moments of the tournament quickly escalated into something even larger. Within hours, reports began circulating across social media. Mercedes-Benz had reportedly gifted Alex Eala a luxury vehicle. Not as part of a sponsorship agreement. Not as a formal endorsement deal. But as a personal gesture of admiration following her commanding performance on center court. And that detail changed everything. The tennis world erupted. Fans reacted instantly. Commentators replayed the moment in disbelief. And across platforms, one question dominated every conversation. How does a post-match handshake turn into this? Berlin, Germany. June 15, 2026. What began as a quiet 15-minute meeting inside the Rot-Weiss Tennis Club had now become the defining story of the tournament. Once the details reached the public, the reaction was immediate. The hashtag began trending worldwide. Hashtag Alex gets Mercedes. Filipino fans, who had followed Eala's journey through years of discipline, setbacks, and breakthroughs, found themselves witnessing something they had long believed was coming: recognition on a global stage. Not just for a match. Not just for a result. But for a career trajectory that had been building for years. Social media lit up with reactions. Mercedes-Benz just gave Alex Eala a car. The executive personally walked down from the VIP section. This isn't sponsorship, this is recognition. She dominated Vekic 6-2, 6-2, and walked away with a Mercedes. What a day. From Quezon City to Berlin, from local promise to global spotlight, the narrative around Alex Eala was shifting in real time. Another fan wrote, "She's not just a tennis player anymore. She's becoming a global sports icon." But behind the headlines and viral posts, something more subtle was happening. Analysts began pointing out that Mercedes-Benz connection to tennis was not new. The brand had long invested in elite sport, innovation-driven performance, and rising global talent. And Eala's profile, young, international, rapidly improving, and already producing breakthrough results, fit a pattern that could not be ignored. Still, even that explanation didn't fully capture the moment. Because this wasn't just about branding. It wasn't just about marketing. It wasn't even just about tennis. It was about timing. Performance. Presence. And a performance in Berlin that had forced everyone watching, from fans to executives, to take notice. And now, with the tennis world still processing what had happened off-court, Eala's attention had already shifted forward. Because waiting for her next challenge was something far more immediate. The second round. The next opponent. And a grass-court season that was suddenly carrying far more weight than anyone had expected just 24 hours earlier. In professional tennis, Mercedes-Benz had already been making a bold statement. At the Berlin Open, the company unveiled its innovative signature court, a striking, three-sided exhibition court inspired by the brand's iconic three-pointed star. Designed in collaboration with the WTA, the concept was built to showcase innovation, performance, and design at the highest level of the sport. A space where tennis and modern engineering intersected. A new visual identity for the future of the game. The company described it as, for the Berlin Tennis Open, Mercedes-Benz has created a unique fusion of sport, innovation, and design. The Mercedes-Benz Signature Court is the first tennis court of its kind, featuring 3 courtsides for an exceptional playing experience. Global ambassador Coco Gauff was positioned as the centerpiece of the launch, reinforcing the brand's long-standing commitment to elite women's tennis. But as the tournament unfolded, many fans began drawing a different connection. Because while the court represented innovation, Alex Eala was beginning to represent something else entirely. Resilience. Growth. Breakthrough. Mercedes-Benz involvement in tennis was not new. In 2023, the company became the official automotive partner of the Miami Open, one of the premier events on the WTA calendar, as part of a multi-year agreement focused on player mobility, brand integration, and elevated fan experiences. In 2024, it expanded its footprint further through a premier partnership with the WTA Tour, strengthening its global presence in women's tennis. And through its collaboration with Coco Gauff, a Grand Slam champion and global ambassador since 2023, Mercedes-Benz had already aligned itself with excellence at the very top of the sport. Gauff embodied everything the brand valued: performance, composure, and championship pedigree. But Alex Eala's story followed a different path. She was not yet a Grand Slam champion. Not yet a fixture at the very top of the rankings. Not yet defined by titles. Instead, she represented something just as compelling. A young athlete carving her way into the elite level through persistence, discipline, and belief. A player still in motion. Still rising. Still building her place on the world stage. And for many observers, that was exactly what made her impossible to ignore. Because while champions represent achievement, rising stars represent possibility. And in Berlin, Alex Eala was beginning to embody both. She was not yet a household name in the West. A 21-year-old from a developing tennis nation. Still fighting for consistency on the biggest stages. Still chasing her first Wimbledon seeding. And yet, Mercedes-Benz had taken notice. When